Welcome to Real Estate Success DFW, the podcast where top producing agents from Dallas-Fort Worth come together to share their stories and strategies behind their success. I'm Shaune Corbett, your host, and with over 300 million sold in the local real estate market and the honor of being best of B multiple times, I know what it takes to make it in this market. Each episode, we're going to dive into the world of real estate, learning from the very best in the industry. If you're ready to level up your game, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Welcome everyone to Real Estate Success DFW with Shaune Corbett. We have a special guest. Tina Bryant is with us. How are you, Tina?
Hey, good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you. We've known each other off and on for a few years, I think now. We're both actually at the same brokerage, and we're in leadership things, and we do a number of events together. And Tina's brought a wealth of experience. She's been doing real estate about as long as I have. And we have some interchangeable things. We both are working with investors as a part of our business model. And I want to get some insights from her because there's a lot of agents out there that don't know how to even enter into that space and how to have those conversations or how to really benefit investors so they have the repeat business that you and I have benefited from. So I think that's one of the topics I'd really like to cover. But what I always kind of start with is to set the standard of the space and tell us a little bit about you. What were you doing before? What got you into real estate? So if we can start with, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. So I'm like a lot of people in that I originally I had a background of an interior design. I had an interior design company. We used to live in Oklahoma. And when we moved to Texas, I didn't start that all over again. So I started designing and building custom homes and being the GC for that. And my husband and I started renovating a lot of properties and helping other people buy, sell, and flip. And so as we're progressing in that model, we thought, what better way to get our license, and that way I can have access to even more properties up front, because of then the internet was not the thing as it is today. So I had more in-person, firsthand knowledge of properties. And then also I could list them and sell them myself to increase our IRA in the background. And so I didn't get into real estate to be the number one top producer. I got into it to help myself and others that were flipping with our investment properties. And so I started as an investor.
I think most people, and this is not an uncommon story, I'm sure you've heard others that got into the investment space and they saw the benefit. Most of them will see the benefit of trying to save money. That's usually where they always start. But the reality is when you get your license, you are equipped with some additional information, additional things that you wouldn't have figured out on your own. And not to mention, you can find out your own comps, right? You can run your own and you don't have to rely on someone else trying to tell you, what that property is worth. If they don't trend it right, and you don't have to make less informed decisions. So it is pretty common for people to get into it that way. I got a license long before I ever got into the investment space, but I've noticed over time, people they turned around and started becoming an agent after they've been doing investments initially. And you've sold quite a bit of real estate. That's the reason why I have you on. That's always a key component for people that get on with me. So what would you say your target client is? Is it still the investor, or do you have someone else in mind that really connects with you on selling real estate?
Well, I think I have a good mix after doing it for 20 years. I have a lot of repeat referral business. And so those are in different stages of where they are in life. Some of those are investors themselves that keep coming back to me time and time again for either information on off-market properties, the best strategies to design and renovate, making sure they're staying within that wheelhouse budget, to people who they're skilled in that, or they just need me to list a property. So when it comes to investors, I have a whole, I'll say, bucket of clientele that I do that works with investors. They are constantly sending me properties that, hey, Tina, do you know anybody who might be interested in XYZ property? And then I have another investor pool, or sometimes it's a different season for them. They're saying, who do you know that has those? And so I love being able to partner those together. That's my investor pool. But probably most of my clients are repeat buyers and sellers.
Okay, that's good. Being in the investor side, did you spend most of your time flipping, or does it depend on what the market looked like? Do you have houses you hold now? How are you investing in real estate today?
So most of what we did when we were flipping was just flipping. We weren't doing a whole lot of buy and hold. We would just find a property, invest in it, renovate it. With my design and background, construction, etc., a lot of times we did that ourselves or GC did ourselves. I do have some investors who I offer those design and or GC services to if they don't have access to that or if they need it. And then I have some investors who they've been in it, they have enough contacts where they just need me to partner person A with B. So it kind of depends on where that investor is coming from. And then I can tailor my services to where they are in their business model.
Okay. So you provide houses as an option.
I do houses, land, some that need complete gut jobs, some that need tear down, some that need just, some lipstick, the gamut.
Yeah. Well, you'll know their risk tolerance, right? I mean, that's really going to be part of it. And then you mentioned GC. Would you GC it yourself and then go find all the contractors, or would you just refer them to a GC that you trust?
It depends on the scope of the project. I've done both. And so depending upon where they are in their experience, market know-how, the scope of the work, etc., will determine if I'm going to be able to GC it. If it's just something in the days of old, I could GC anything from design and concept all the way through the construction process. Because of my time commitment in my real estate hat now,
Yeah.
right? I more often than not, when it's something bigger, I just refer out to people that I know that can do larger scope GC, bigger scale projects.
Okay. What about financing? Do you offer any type of lender options, hard money or direct lenders?
I don't do any of the financing, but I do have a whole repertoire of hard money lenders and some lenders out there that do traditional and non-traditional financing for an array of type of loans, short and long term.
Okay. So you find the property, you help them with the GC, you do the financing or introduce them to people that can finance it. And you can kind of do all this as a package, right? So where we offer the service of getting them from start to finish, no matter where they're at. And investors can kind of fill in the blank what they have access to or what they're comfortable with. What about the resale? So if you bring them the property and everything is done, they come back to you and say, hey, the house is ready. What do you do for those investors on the resale when you list it? Do you offer them any type of incentive to work with you? Because they're going to be repeat, they're going to be generally low key, not high strung, and they don't have a lot of feedback in there. You just list it and sell it. How do you work with them?
So again, it determines on how that investor client came to me. Sometimes they've already come to me, they've already had the property, they've already done the reno, and now they're ready to get it marketed. So obviously I can totally get that marketed and sold for that. Sometimes they're on the lookout phase and they want me to help them find that ideal property in their buy box. And so if I'm doing both ends, then sometimes we'll negotiate a deal to where instead of it being my full commission for the buy side and the list side, then we'll negotiate a rate based on that. I do have some investors that I do multiple deals a year. And so we've already negotiated the compensation up front so that no matter what comes up, we just know that's our compensation package. And I do cut them a deal because we do a lot in a year and they are amazing clients. So yeah, it works for them and it works for me.
Let me ask it this way, because this is where the area gets real gray for agents. They don't understand the off-market aspect. So if we are finding something on market's easy, generally you can work out a BAC, it's built into it. But off market, it's the Wild West, right? So they have a price that they have it at, you have a price you're going to sell it for, and there's generally a gap. Do you work on assignments and things like that, or do you work out a deal directly with the wholesaler and then they pay you off market?
Honestly, Shaune, it's a combination. And that's just because I've been doing it a while, because I have a variety of different type of investor scenarios coming to me. And so I have definitely worked with investors who are working on assignment. And if we need to go into that a little bit, if people are just starting to work with investors, there's some, you're probably going, what in the world is that? But for me personally, I have to scale it to who's coming at me, because I honestly have investors who are doing so many different types of investment and where they are in their stage. And that way I can meet them where they're at, give them the advice, opinion, help, steer them to my affiliates if they need, like you said, hard money or something like that. If they need a GC, that's the beauty of experience. But if someone is just starting out, then I would say, let's get a type of investor. Let's start networking with that type of investor, get to know that space a little bit, and then broaden it and get to know that space a little bit and broaden it. That way you're not putting yourself out there on a field you're not ready to tackle.
Okay. Last thing for the investor, then I want to kind of talk about agency based on this. So for the investor right now, what would you advise them? And I know they're all at different spaces, right? I have investors that flip myself, and then I have some that just want to do buy and holds. But if a investor came to you and said, hey, I want to invest in real estate, what do you suggest? Do I flip or do I buy and hold? What would you tell them?
First, I need to ask them a lot of questions. What is the reason why you want to buy and flip? What are the reasons why you want to buy and what are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals? Because different properties are a great solution for one of those answers or the other. And so if they're a type of client who likes to flip, maybe the numbers aren't in that particular property where the return is immediate. And so it would make sense to buy and flip because they have enough revenue they've generated from that short-term investment property. Whereas if they come to me and we run the numbers and I say, I don't really know if you're going to get your return on this particular setup to flip, this would be a better property for a buy and hold. And so some of my investors say, yeah, I'll do either one. It just depends on where the numbers lie. And then others are like, I'm going to pass on that property because I want it to be one option or the other.
Do you do any owner finance?
Buy box is.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Do you do any owner finance or like short or subject twos?
I don't do any personal owner financing, but I can set them up with people who do a lot of different type of financing.
Okay.
But I don't want to be in that space right now.
Yeah. No, I've done quite a bit of creative financing. I just owner financed one 2 months ago. I'm going to owner finance another one the end of this year, properties that we own, because rents are not there. Right. Rents did not follow COVID, and the COVID explosion on property values soared well beyond it, and rents did not follow,
right.
Unfortunately. So, and they're fine because I have low interest rates on the properties, but it'd be better for me just to capture and get cash today and take the owner finance option because their alternative to a traditional financing that they can't qualify for is still 6.5. So I can still charge 9-10% fairly when they can't get a traditional loan. It's not that much of a difference.
Exactly. That's another solution that, until you've had a conversation with that investor and or that buyer, you don't know what solutions are at your disposal. So you have to just take each investor and each property in that current situation and find solutions to make it work. And in that case, in that property you're talking about, the solution was owner financing.
It's right. So we have agents out there that are new, and some of them are in your group, some of them are not. They reach out to you and say, hey, I've got an investor that wants to get into this space. How do I help them? And they ask for advice, right? So what would you share with agents that want to work with investors and be able to enter into that space? Do you partner with them? Because there's so many nuances about it that I can't just talk to you from afar and say, okay, next step is go find an off-market house. Good luck. I mean, that's not going to work, right? If you're not in that space, you don't have the relationships, you don't know how to negotiate, because negotiating off-market is nothing like negotiating on-market.
Right.
They totally different experiences, and you can do all of it by text, which is a pretty cool aspect to it. I've done plenty that way where I set up the showing, I set up my investor, I set everything up, and I give them a price, and we never even talk.
Right.
I'm not kidding. I bet I've done 50. I mean, I've done a bunch of them, but that is not the way traditional negotiation works. So what kind of advice or some general things tips to help agents that want to enter that space, that see the benefit of having a non-emotional, repetitive a repetitive client that we can kind of do more and more deals together? What would you share initially?
I do think having prior real estate experience helps you then transfer into getting into the investor space because you can talk that language for them. and it's just a solution for another buyer or seller to market. If people are trying to get into this space, like every week, I'm getting a bunch of text messages, like you said, that says, "Hey, Tina, I have this off market. Here's the details, blah, 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 blah." And then I have other investors saying, "Hey, Tina, I'm looking. Do you have anything? Blah, blah, blah." Well, the only reason I'm getting those is because over time, I've had connections with different investors. So I would say to people wanting to get started, maybe you need to join an investment group that you go and meet and network with. Maybe you need to join groups online or a Facebook group that is for investors. Maybe you need to find out who the hard money lenders are. Maybe they know some investors you like to. I mean, it's about getting out there and making yourself known and getting into the spaces where the investors are, right? And so once you know one, they can introduce you to more and more, and it helps get the word out. Once the word is out, trust me, you'll be contacted.
So I like that. It's a simple strategy. So the objective is we want to get all those basic things covered. We want to have inventory of homes. We want to have maybe some general contractors that we connect with and have some options. And then we want to have a lender, one or two, that offer the hard money options and things like that. Just start building that base. And then when we have conversations with investors, they tell us what they want, then we've got a starting point to start providing some opportunities. Investor groups are a great place. You can collect all of that in an investor group, right? All of them have contractors, all of them have hard money lenders, all of them have sources for property. That would be a really good spot to start with. And then, from the agency side, because they are a real estate agent, we're not the Wild West here. We got to have some control over how we do things. They need to get some type of investor mentor, like a Tina or someone that can say, "Hey, I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to put some stuff out there. Can I run things by you?" Y'all can work out an agreement. I mean, say, "No problem. Maybe I provide you the opportunity and we'll split the buy side and we'll split the sell side," or something like that. Everybody wins and you get them through that. So I do like that in general. I like that idea.
And I agree with you, Shaune, because, like you said, doing a contract for an investor isn't necessarily how you do a normal seller to end buyer scenario or buyer to seller scenario, because a lot of these investor groups, they assign contracts. So you need to know how to assign a contract. What does that mean? What is the time frame? What does that mean for the seller? What does that mean for the buyer? What parameters do you have to work with it? How do you promote that? And so, yeah, I definitely say partner with someone who's done it before. And the beauty is with our brokerage, with EXP, there are a lot of us that you can glean experience from and that we can help each other, because definitely don't go in just like your real estate. You didn't go into it blindly. You had someone helping you enter that space, whether it was listing or entering the space to help buyers. We'll now have someone help you to enter that space of working with investors.
I love it. And it's not for everyone. When I realize I don't teach a lot of investor things specifically because I don't think the language and things. Oh, okay. Can't hear me. I'll wait for you. Can you hear me? Testing? Nope. Might have to take them out.
There you go.
Are we good?
Now you can hear it.
Okay, awesome. We're talking about the investor space and whether or not it's for everyone, because they talk a different language, they do different things, and it's not. So, even in any of the trainings and things I do, I don't talk about off market or any of those things because a lot of it's not really duplicatable. It's not really meant for everyone. If it's not meant for you, I would say, "Hey, Tina, I'll give you my investment. Send me a referral," right? I mean, just like commercial deals, I think you and I are smart enough. We could do commercial, but I'm not in it all the time. Unless I really want to intend to get in it, I would rather just refer it out and let someone take care of it. It's great. I've done that and I get referrals back from them on residential. So, that even works even better.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you something. So I know that you're really efficient about the way you do a lot of the things you do. You're pointed when you're direct with you, when your communication style. I know you've got some things that you do to stay efficient with your business. Do you have some good things and tips in that space as far as contract to close, VA, managing transactions? or keeping yourself organized, because our business is a little all over the place generally. We're at the space we got to jump in when a buyer or seller is ready. So we have to be organized with everything else. What kind of tips do you have with that space?
Well, I don't know if first of all, I have a CRM that I use that keeps me on track, and it helps me work when I'm not working because of the systems and processes that I put into it. So that helps me get on track. I'm definitely a list maker, and keeps me organized as to how things go. A lot of times on a Sunday night, I think through my week of what are the key things I have to do, and what are the most important things I have to schedule for that week, so that I fill in those other things. I don't know about you, but it's very easy to fill our schedule with a lot of busy, but we're not always productive. And so if we're not careful, we're just kind of fill the fluff, and then we don't have enough time for the most important. Have you ever seen that visual where you take a jar and you have all these big rocks and you have all this sand? And if you put all the sand in first, you don't have room for the big rocks, which the big rocks are the vital things we have to do to grow our business. But life gets busy. And so a lot of times we fill it with sand. Oh my gosh, I got to hurry up. The urgent, I got to fill it with these things. And then we have no room for what's really important. So my CRM helps me take care of the big rocks, so to speak, and the action items. And then I try to stay in contact with my investor pool. How do I stay in contact with this? What is my system for reaching out for clients that I have done business with in the past? So I have a system within my CRM that I'm doing that. What's my system for reaching out for new prospective clients or investors? So I say in a nutshell, that's a whole nother classic or talk rather on systems and processes. But if someone's not using a CRM that's effective, that would be my number one tool. Make sure you get one that works for you to maximize your time.
And when you say list, are you talking like you get a notepad and just start scratching?
If you saw all my notebooks, it's even though I have stuff on my calendar of everything I'm supposed to do, it's all the stuff within it, don't forget this. And as we're taking notes, as we're talking, things that come to my mind, I'm jotting things down as I come to thoughts. Oh yeah, don't forget about that. Or man, that's a great idea. Follow up with that. I try to write it down right then.
One of the hottest things I'm pretty much asking on all my podcast interviews is, what are we doing with AI?
Oh, I definitely utilize AI.
Yeah. Do you have maybe one or two tips that you don't know if anyone's using, but you've made good use of and it's helped you?
I just used it for my taxes. I don't know if you guys are utilizing your taxes. I had sent all my taxes to my CPA, and I wanted to compare what AI might say. Am I paying too much? Not paying enough? But as it pertains to real estate, probably the latest thing I did is I put in my Google business page bio, and I said, let me optimize this. And then I infiltrated that whole AI, what it brought up to me, and my social media and so forth. One of the things people can do if they haven't been using AI is, and I think we've had this conversation before, is just go ask it to ask you, like, what are 20 questions or 10 questions or 50 questions that your AI needs to know about you, your personality, how you like to communicate to people, your business model. Like, have AI ask you those questions, and then it will help you hone what it is you want to do, how to do it, your target market in minutes, seconds.
Okay. No, I love that. You have any advice you would give to experienced agents that are looking to break into the top 1%, the next level? Because experience can be top 5, top 10%, but anyone outside of that really are not selling a whole lot of houses right now. If you're in the bottom 90%, you're probably not moving more than 3 or 4 a year. So agents that are selling, 7, 8 a year that are surviving, what would you suggest or help them in moving from that to selling the 15, 20, 30 a year?
Just going back to my analogy is get rid of the sand first. And like we talked about AI, what are your goals? We have at our disposal AI right now. So you can plug in, hey, I've done this many in the past. This is about how much time I've spent. This is the type of marketing I've done, or these have been my lead sources. And plug all that into your AI and see where your weak spots are. I know all of us have weak spots, right? Whether you and I have been doing real estate for a while, but I know there's times in my day that I can make it more efficient. So if we want to have more success than we did the year before, then what are we going to do differently? And so plug all that into AI, look for suggestions. Maybe it's major things that someone needs to change because of just time management, because we all have the same amount of time. It's just, what are we doing with it? So do you need to tweak some of that time management, or do you need to acquire more skill, or do you just need to implement? Sometimes we know all the right things, but we're not out doing.
I love it, Tina. Where can we find you?
First of all, you can find me on all the socials at Tina Bryant. My website is NTX, like North Texas, ntxhomesource.com. And of course, I'm with the XP Realty, so you can give me a call or look me up, and I'd love to do a deal with you.
I love it, Tina. Thank you for doing this with me and providing all this information to agents. It's really incredibly helpful.
Absolutely.
Any
I
of you
appreciate
interested in
all
the
that you do.
Yeah, thank you. And any of you interested in the investor space, Tina's an open book. You can call her. Just, same as me. We're here to share. It will take you as far as we can to the next step or anything like that. It's no problem for us. Tina's actually going to come and do one of my helping agent meetings, and she's going to teach one of my meetings coming up. So she's a giver, she's a server. And I think that doing that, I think we should all do that. I think we always get more back than we give. So that's a really good attribute for her. For those of you that need more information or anything, please reach out, post in the comments, and respond. Again, this is another episode of Real Estate Success DFW. If you've not subscribed, please do. I'm looking to continue to grow this audience and bring you great guests just like Tina Bryant. All this, I appreciate it, and have a high performance week. Thank you.
That wraps up another episode of Real Estate Success DFW. I hope you're leaving with new insights that push your real estate career forward. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with fellow agents who's ready to succeed. And if you're interested in working together or have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. Reach out to me directly. My personal phone is 214-228-0383. Let's connect and make real estate success happen together. Until next time, keep pushing forward. I'm Shaune Corbett, and this is the Real Estate Success DFW. Have a high performance week.